We are Steve and Esther Kravitz from Potomac, Maryland, and our son Ben was originally in a Jewish day school. He has ADHD and learning disabilities, and the school was really having a hard time dealing with him. We had tutors for him, and really home life was really very traumatic because of all the educational issues. We moved him to a public school where we thought we would get better support for him. It didn't happen, and he started to fall in with the wrong crowd. So we were getting concerned. We couldn't give him more medication. We were already seeing psychologists and psychiatrists, and we were looking for an alternative.
We told Ben that we were looking around for a residential placement for him, and of course he didn't believe us. And then we told him about places that we had looked up in Utah and Connecticut, and all of them seemed very much like prison-like settings where you were locked in your rooms and you couldn't go where you wanted to when you wanted to. However, we had told them about that, and we told them about military schools, and we had looked it up on the internet, and it was only through a stroke of luck that when I was Googling on the internet, I found an article about Alan from the New Jersey Standard that said that he'd come here and started a new school with Dr. Stuart Chesner. And so I showed it to Steve, and I kind of said something about it to Ben, and he still did not believe us. We made a very quick decision to send Ben to this program. We met Dr. Chesner for about 4 or 5 hours. Ben was with us. He met him as well. We talked, we cried. It was a very emotional session for us. We decided at the end of it that yes, we would take a giant leap of faith and trust this man and Alan Smanowitz, who we'd spoken to on the phone, with our child and with his life right at that point. We were afraid if we left him in the States that no good things would come. And so we knew he needed a complete change of environment, and what better place to send a child to, a Jewish child, than Israel. One of the most important things about a program like this is it builds self-esteem. I would venture to say that most of the kids here come with very low self-esteem for whatever reason. They don't feel good about themselves. They don't know who they are. They've been traumatized. They've been not traumatized, but they have issues dealing with people and accepting themselves for who they are.
We had been talking about it for a year, what to do. And we were really, whenever we talked about it with people, people were sort of appalled that we would do this. We would send our child away. And it is a very difficult decision. And we didn't send them away. We sent him to someplace that could help him, where we couldn't, even though we thought we had all the resources in the world in our metropolitan area, it just wasn't good enough. It's gutsy. It's very gutsy. But it saved his life, and we're forever in these people's debt.
We were lucky. The 3 years have been very up and down for us. We've had moments of despair. We've had moments of great happiness. Now he has just graduated from high school, right on time with the rest of the kids in America that would his friends that graduated as well. But the difference is that he is a different person now than he was when he came. He had many, many emotional issues and baggage.
There were some issues that Ben had during that time, and he picked up his cell phone, and he called the staff of Matarah, and they were able to talk to Ben through the issues. And that's really what life is like here, is there's constant and ongoing consultation with the staff of Matarah for the child. It's not like at home where you have once-a-week appointment. This is 24-hour coverage. If Ben has a concern, he picks up the phone, he calls, he's with somebody, he talks to that person. If he doesn't want to talk with the person he's living with or who he's with at that point, then he goes to see the other person that he feels comfortable talking to and has a consultation right there on the spot while the issue is fresh in his mind.
Sometimes it's a very lonely experience because you see your other friends with their child and yours is so far away. But we had to keep the faith that we were doing the best we could for him and that this was a good move. And it turned out to be a great move for us.
I think one of the important things when dealing with your child in this kind of situation is that you be open and honest to all of their faults and issues, not have an ego tied up in it, and to be honest with the people you're dealing with here in Israel. And these are really good people. They care about your child. And it's not just Stuart and Alan, their wives, Joanne and Rachel, all of their children. It's the neighbors, it's the neighborhood, it's the teachers. It really is a village to raise a child, and they're helping raise your child. One of the important aspects is you. There are weekly calls that you can have on Skype with Dr. Chesner and Alan and your child, or Alan by himself, Stuart by himself, if you have certain issues you want to talk to them about, with or without your child. It's all about communication and making your child comfortable and providing for your child. And even though you're thousands of miles away, you can still do so over the phone, over the internet. And these people are the support system for your child while you're not here. And they are just the best the world has to offer.
Well, last year, Steve came alone at the end of June, and he and Ben and Stuart and Alan and several other boys, Alan's son, they all went to a lot and took a scuba diving course. And I think it was the highlight for Ben, because it really turned him around in terms of being friends with everybody as opposed to being upset or angry. And so that was a big thing for Ben and for Steve, because he came home in great spirits thinking, he just spent this great week with everybody and they had a great time. And Ben was very good at scuba diving because he is that way, and he's very good with his hands. So he was able to put the tanks together, and it was just a really positive experience. So slowly but surely, he came out of the anger and into the acceptance, and then even into being happy about being here and about the way he lives and about his life and about his goals. And it was 3 years. It was not a quick change. And when we kept saying, well, when do we see something? Stuart always said, wait, you have to wait. This is a long process. So we waited. And the difference in this visit that we've had this year, we spent the day with Ben at the beach, and he's like a different kid.
So one of the things that the program really does is really concentrates on an individual child in terms of their interests and activities. Ben was very interested in mechanics. He was very good with his hands. So they got him an internship at a garage where he learned about the car brakes, tires, transmissions, power steering, all the parts of a car he learned while working at the garage. And I know that the other kids have similar, different interests, and the program caters to their interests. One boy I know is playing football. They got him on a football team, and that's his interest. So they really do this individual, it's not just tutoring educationally, but it's also this sort of secular education about what's out there in the world. The other interesting thing is being independent is an important part of the program. When Ben first came to Israel, he wasn't, he would always travel with somebody. Then he was trusted to take the bus by himself, and he likes to walk, so they allowed him to walk through Jerusalem to the bus station. And all that is about growing up and becoming more responsible. When we talk about a place in Israel and he knows the history behind it, it really is just all that much sweeter an education for him.
It's a wonderful feeling to know that your child is finally thriving and doing the best that he can in an environment that's loving and caring.
These are people that really care about your child, and you're not sending your child away, you're sending your child to something really good. And we have been very fortunate and lucky that we found Matara, and that these people are willing to take in children and help them change the trajectory of their life.
And he was able to take what he saw in the caring and the love from his parents, from his teachers, from Alan and Stuart, from the other boys in the program, and turn it into something positive for himself. And he kind of did a 180 and decided that it was enough already. He was not going to be like this the rest of his life. He wanted to change. He wanted to be better, and slowly but surely he just worked his way up there, and it was, for us, it seemed like a miracle.
And Ben is a success story, and we are just thrilled beyond belief.
And now there are no guarantees in life, but he is on such a good path now, and he really believes in what he's doing, and that is one of the biggest things that he could get out of here, was that self-esteem and the self-worth and the feeling like he's a really worthwhile human being and that people really do care about him. And he knows that when we leave, and we're happen to be leaving shortly, that he has so many other people here who love him and who are willing to go to bat for him, that it's really a great thing. There's no doubt in my mind that it was worth it. Having a child like Ben at home also destroys your family life. I joke and say I don't know if Steve and I would still be married, but if you talk to other families with kids like this, they say the same thing. It is very difficult to manage everything. And when it came down to the point that he was really, I think, being a terrible role model for our younger son, I said, that's it. We can't do it here in our home. And that was when we discovered this program, and it was a blessing for us. It was frightening, and it was a horrible decision, but it was a blessing, and it still is. And someday when we dance at Ben's wedding, we will dance with Stuart and Alan and all the people here who have helped us to raise this kid and who have made him into the mensch he is today.